Good morning,
And hello,
good
good
morning,
morning,
everyone.
everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to greet every one of you a great, lovely, sunny Saturday morning.
Well, Sir Jello, why don't we make this morning not just wonderful, but also a day full of learning and new experiences?
Yes, that's right. We have been anticipating this event for a very long time, and now that this day has come, it's very exciting.
Well, I agree, but anticipation comes with painstaking efforts, sleepless nights, and wishful thoughts now coming to reality. So, what are we waiting for, Sir Jello?
The long wait is finally over. Allow us to welcome all of you to our first webinar entitled
Integration, resiliency, and replicability for a sustainable social contract.
Welcome One and All.
Before we start our event, we will play an audio-video presentation for webinar etiquette. Since this is an academic event, we expect everyone to be courteous and professional.
Welcome to Graduate Seminar 2020 entitled Integration, Resiliency and Replicability for a Sustainable Social Contract. Please be reminded that this webinar will be recorded, subject to the policies and guidelines on Data Privacy Act of the Philippines. Please pay attention as we present to you the following webinar etiquette. Number 1, you may opt to turn off your video if you experience lagging during the presentation. Number 2, mute your microphone during the presentation or when you are not speaking. Enter in or type in the chat box for any clarification or question while presentations are ongoing. Number 3, observe proper attire in attending the webinar. This is an academic event, hence wearing of sandals, spaghetti straps blouses, those with indecent prints, and other inappropriate attire is prohibited, especially when videos are turned on. Number 4, in accordance with the Data Privacy Act of the Philippines, participants are advised to exercise caution in taking screenshots of the webinar and the presenters. Though it is not prohibited to take and share screenshots, especially in social media, all participants must consider the following. A. The detailed content and text of the presentation because some of the modules or information might have copyright issues. B. The web details including the location, background, audio, and internet usage that may be used or undermine your web privacy. C. The facial features of the presenters or participants that are distorted, comical, or that may be used against them. And then number 5, there will be an allotted time for the question and answer. The hosts or presenters will give the cue for the Q&A portion. Thank you everyone and welcome to this webinar. Arriba!
Continue with the program. Let us observe silence and feel the presence of our Almighty God as we offer Him a song of praise, followed by the singing of our national anthem and the recitation of the mission and vision of Colegios and Juan de Letran.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Dearest God, our loving Lord, to you we direct our praise and prayer, as creator of the world, as giver of life. 400 years ago, upon Las Islas de Filipinas, our beloved country, it pleased you to establish Colegio de San Juan de Letran as haven for the poor, as seedbed of saints, as cradle of heroes, a school dedicated to the teaching of truth and the learning of life. On this, our Jubilee, bind us to our oath as your knights, without fear in the face of enemies, brave and upright in the love of God, always truthful, even unto death, defenders of the helpless, doers of good. May the blessings bestowed upon us lead us to serve your people and return to you in thanks eternal. Through the pleas of Mary, in the name of Jesus, Arriba, Amen.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, pero sa silanganan, alak ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang inihaw, tuyok ka ng magiging, sa mandulubi, di ka masisingil, sa dagat at ulan, sa simulan, sa langit ng bagaw, may nilagang minamahal. Ang kislap ng watawat ko'y tagumpay na nagdidingin. Ang bituin ng araw niya kailan abay di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng malhatid pagsinta, buhay ang langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya ng may mga hangin, ang mga tayo ng dahil sa'yo.
Colegio de San Juan de Letran, Mission and Vision. Letran Mission. We are Colegio de San Juan de Letran. We are a Catholic school committed to Dominican preaching through education towards the integral formation of the human person in the noble tradition of knightly excellence, with a special devotion to Mary, according to the ideal of Deus, Patria, Letran. Vision. Filled with the Arriba spirit towards 2022, we shall raise the awareness, efforts, and standards of Letran Manila as a reputable school of quality education that is centered on a Dominican community that preaches Christ, that offers programs in academics, research, community service that are responsive and responsible to the nation, that forms Letranites who are ready for a relevant role in the world.
All right, Sir Kerr, we would like to welcome again all of them to our seminar for today.
Yes.
Again, welcome everyone to our webinar concerning integration, resiliency, and replicability for a sustainable contract.
Well, now, as your master of ceremonies, we would first like to introduce ourselves to you. I am Kerr Brian Cabahar.
And I am John Angeladiva.
Well, Sir Jello, it's so nice to see every one of them in such a good mood today. And let us not forget the fact you look sharp and stunning today, Sir Jello.
Sir Kerr, you're so kind talaga. I would like to give them another boost of moral to make their moods even better. So to give his words of encouragement and inspiration, may we call on our chairman for the Grad Sem class 2020-2021, Sir Jerome Cruz.
Thank you, Sir Jello. To our distinguished guests and speakers, fellow educators from different institutions from different parts of the country, student participants, friends, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pride and honor to see and have you today. In particular, I would like to extend a special welcome to those participants coming from the other schools and those of you from other countries who are here today despite the time differences. Special mention also goes to our honorable speakers, whom without any second thought agreed to share their knowledge with us today. We are really honored and lucky to have you here. Although some of the participants we have invited were not able to log in due to the internet connectivity brought about by the Typhoon Ulysses, their mere acceptance of our invitation and recognition of the importance of this event by registering is already gesture we are thankful for. As a typical Letranista, I would like to welcome and greet you all in Letran way of welcoming guests. Arriba! Sustainability is one of the in topics nowadays, especially with all the unfortunate events happening around us. Today, we are very honored to have industry and international experts who will be sharing their thoughts and insights on sustainability. I hope that everyone is one with me in the premise that sustainability is important to maintain our quality of life as human beings and the diversity of life on Earth. Our three resource persons, Dr. Amelia Naim Indrajaya, Dr. Shirley Yung, and Dr. Eunice Maret Ariola, including our sharer, Mr. Calixto Suiza, would broaden our knowledge on the topic integration, resiliency, and replicability for a sustainable social knowledge on the topic for a sustainable social contract. We are very much excited on the new learning we will get from our lecturers. Allow me again to welcome you in this gathering. Mabuhay and Arriba.
Well, thank you for such an uplifting message, Sir Jerome. Well, Sir Jello, the Philippines is on difficult waters right now.
It is.
Honestly, waking up to such dreadful news makes you feel sad and overwhelming. The event that happened in Cagayan, Isabela, Igaraw, I was quite dejected with the news, but I know that we can eventually bounce back from this. I know
That's
that
right, sir. Yes.
we are resilient, integrated, and our good values are replicable. But please pray for them, and that will be a great contribution and help for them. And by the way, also please don't forget to do the hashtag GradSem2020 and tweet or post something about this webinar.
All right.
So I guess, Sir Jello, it is time to learn new things about our topic, don't you think, Sir Jello?
Yes, it is. And I'm really excited that we have three very respectful and very informative speakers for today. And
Yeah.
I think they will actually give us a lot of data, information, and knowledge about how to be resilient during these times. Of course, not only the storms that we have actually experienced for the past few days, but also from the pandemic that we are actually experiencing right now. So I think it would be great to actually give them this chance to share their knowledge as well. We would first like to actually recognize and acknowledge our first speaker for today, Dr. Amelia Naim Indrajaya, the Director of Center for Sustainability, Mindset, and Social Responsibility in Jakarta, Indonesia. We are overjoyed to have you here as our speaker for today.
Good morning, Dr. Amelia Andrejaya. Now, since all of us wants to know more about our beautiful guest speaker, let us hear something about her, shall we, Sir Jello?
Of course, it is my privilege to introduce our first speaker. Dr. Amelia Naim Indrajaya teaches managerial communication and good corporate governance. She has an international background. She was born in New York City and spent early years of education overseas. She obtained her bachelor's degree from the Industrial Engineering Department, Bandung Institute of Technology. She decided to pursue and focus more on the management subject. Therefore, she chose an MBA from the University of Colorado at Boulder, USA, as her graduate degree. She has developed a special interest in communication, leadership, and interpersonal skills. She is the founder of PT Rentangguna Putra, an engineering and management consultancy company. She is also a trainer and motivator and has helped numerous companies, among others, like Toyota, Telcom, and Kimia Pharma in their communication and leadership training program. She has also written books on communication, motivation, and the art of interpersonal skills in the form of real life stories, with the title Bila Nurani Bikara series, the first book now on its seventh edition, and had made her a seasoned motivator and speaker for training and seminars in Indonesia.
Well, now, for our webinar proper, may we call on our first speaker for today. Let us all give her a big round of applause.
Thank you very much for the very warm welcome. It's my pleasure to be here. So, hello everyone. We are trying to make this very participative. So, if you have anything, any question, any comment, or anything, please jot down in the chat so we can have a really highly interactive session. And then Jeremy, Brian, and everyone here will help me to tell me if there's some interesting question. You can just, hey, Mel, there's something here. Someone wants some, maybe a quick answer or something. All right? So we keep it interactive. Agree? All right. So for now, I would share to you a little bit about the social contract that we are doing in IPME International Business School. Most of the time, people think when they hear the word social, and they would think that you have to choose, right? Like, oh, if you want to go social, that means you're not going for profit. So that is going to be very tough because we are a business school, right? So people say, oh my gosh, ma'am, Amel, we go all the way to the business school and we are going to talk about social. Oh my gosh, get real. So guess what? We don't have to choose. We don't have to choose. So, in the Center for Sustainability Mindset and Social Responsibility, we are introducing a new way of doing business. This is the flourishing business. So, it's doing well by doing good. So, this is our social contract from the beginning. It's like saying we don't have to choose. It is both and. It's not either or. So, let's see and explore. Okay, just a little bit of my title and just a little bit of my background. I think you have mentioned it even better. So we skip. Okay, so this one too, I think you have already talked about it. Now, the new competitive edge. This is very, very interesting. And we met annually in this Academy of Management conference. And guess what? The guru, the leader of the leader, the professor of management, Henry Mintzberg, was in the podium, and there were like almost 10,000 professors from around the world. And they were talking and they were saying that, oh my gosh, look what have we done with our students. We have trained them about maximizing shareholders' value, about wealth maximization, and look what we have right now. It's the exploitation of the planet and the people everywhere. And then they are all in a very, highly, remorse. It's like they were thinking, oh, what have we created? We have created monsters here. They're doing business without conscience. And so they said, this is it. No more. We have to go for a different benchmark. So it is not uh, a very happy situation right now. Everyone is benchmarked through the numbers of money. So we are changing the whole concept. We're talking that business should be agent of the world benefit. And so value based through integrated and responsible management with sustainable mindset. And we are going to have this different concept, which is called the flourishing concept. What is it? I will turn on a video after this to share to you the flourishing concept. And the other thing I like about Letran is about you are already having your slogan is not about just knowledge, but it's also about being. So this is what we like about it. So when you study, it's not about just knowledge, but it's about being and doing. So an integration of all. And this is possible when we implement the sustainable mindset. So what do you see when you see this picture? Come on, guys. Write down in the chat. What do you see? What do you see? Write down in the chat. What do you think? Did you see any very, very old people? Do you see nope. It's a beautiful lady. What do you see? So, yes, everyone singing, all people. So, what does it mean? What does it mean? What is the message of this picture? What do you think? Write down on the chat. Come on, everyone. Let's make this interactive. Yes, different perspective. Usually people said, if you want to make money, forget about the social. And so if you want to do social, forget about the money. That was the perspective before. Guess what? In this picture, you see, you can say, oh, ma'am Amel, you really like old people. But wait a minute, if you change your perspective, this is about beautiful girl. It's about party. And so now what we need is to change our perspective. See the big picture? I like that, Cheryl. And then Inaki, you can see Shirley, Jenny, everyone is commenting. Very good. So we need to change the perspective. We don't have to choose. We are going to do social contract and be very profitable because of it. And how do we do that? So let's see. So we have to integrate responsible business education towards social impact. We have to have a broader mind and perception, and we have the willingness to transform and really depend on our sustainable mindset. All right. What happens if we don't have meanings in our job? You can imagine that when we are just looking for money, we're just looking for, glory, self glorification, and all this material world. You can imagine it is going to be a phase with lots of stress. Oh, stressful! Work without meaning. So you can imagine this is not what we want. That's why in sustainable mindset, we also talk about spirituality. You don't want this kind of phase, right? So what do we want? We want a system where the people becomes a very important aspect. And the planet, of course, is something that we are taking care of. We take care of the planet. And by doing that, we definitely will get profit. So this is not choosing either profit or people, either planet or people. This is not choosing, but this is the sustainable mindset. So how do we do that? We have the 17 sustainable development goals of the United Nations. So maybe all of you are familiar with this. By the year 2030, we have to be able to make this into a reality. Well, I don't think it is possible if all of us are not together in it. So you can imagine this is the integrated way of social contract. So for example, if you want to do a business, you have at least to support one of these sustainable development goals. And how are you going to do that? Well, we can show you this is very much possible. Okay, let me show you this video. This is about this platform Aim to Flourish. And then it is going to change the way people see business, because without the help of all these business people around the world, we can never make the SDG goals a reality.
Aim to Flourish is this storytelling platform about business for good. And we basically now have an army of students globally who are going out and uncovering as detectives these amazing innovations that are happening in their community.
So it almost becomes like the Wall Street Journal of business as an agent of world benefit. That is a go-to place for the latest news, but also good analysis and good knowledge.
It's a place for consumers to use their buying dollars to invest in companies that are doing good in the world. It's a place for investors to look to find out about innovations in Argentina or Indonesia that are making the world a better place.
My commitment is to see Aim to Flourish change the conversation around the world about business as an agent for good.
Business started started as an activity that was connected with a real need.
What's different and somewhat magical about this is it's a student-led initiative. We have business schools all over the world that are teaching their students about the UN's global goals. And the students go out as detectives and find a business that is innovating in some way matched up with those global goals.
Students are really fascinating. They have limitless potential. They have an unbiased view, and they have a strong voice. They're so confident.
We are the future. We are.
It makes them really look at the subjects not as a matter of passing the grades or not, but it's more like, this is my calling, you know.
I mean, hearing all the different stories of all the different companies that are around the world doing really cool, innovative stuff has set my life on a different trajectory.
Apart from having interactions with
This is Shirley's student.
computer entrepreneurs, I really enjoyed the
That's
learning
Shirley.
process outside college.
That's amazing. I want all the students around the world to hear about it and getting inspired and getting as thrilled as I was when I heard about it. So
I think the world is tired, is weary of stories that lead to despair. And Aim to Flourish is thriving with all of these innovations that are addressing the most pressing challenges in the world in a profitable and joyful way.
And so I know if we start applying more positive solutions to the very real problems we have, we can actually heal the world.
I can't wait to look back 30 years from now and say we were part of one of the most important transformational moments in human history.
This is a platform that matters.
It not only elevates the conversation globally about business, but it changes the future business leaders at the same time. I can't think of a more worthy endeavor for us to invest in.
Okay, so we are all in this together. You can see there was Eunice was there, Ma'am Eunice, Ma'am Shirley was there. And so this is how we make sure that we transform the mindset of everyone there. So write down in the chat, what do you think of this flourishing concept? Do you like the idea that we don't have to choose? So the more we do good, the more we are getting well off, you know, like we are only going to be profitable when we focus on the people and the planet. So what did I do with the students of mine? I gave them this challenge. I'm giving them the challenge. Okay, you have done the platform. This platform is about interviewing business people who's already implementing this flourishing concept. So they are supporting the SDG goals, and by doing good deeds, they are getting so many stakeholder supports, so they are very profitable. So with the Aim to Flourish, they are actually interviewing with this appreciative inquiry, and then they are published in this aimtoflourish.com. But I went further and I asked the students, okay guys, now that you have interviewed all this business people, how about you guys trying to do it yourself? And so what I did was I gave them 30 US dollars, which is in Indonesia is only 400,000 rupiah. And I said, okay, go ahead and make a business, but you have to support at least one SDG goal. And then look what happened. And you know what? This is undergraduate students. So we made a very fun thing. Let me explain it later and you can see here. So you can see this is the orange. It is still using the orange peel. So it's zero waste, zero waste. And this one is a office plant with the colorful beads. This one is made of waste. Yeah, and this coffee sachet bag. Yeah, and we are always supporting this SDGs. And this is the memorabilia. It's a bottle so that you can never waste with the plastic cups. And this is the vertical garden made by the students. So people can always have a garden even in the apartment. So you can see even with $30, they can do business and they are supporting at least one SDG. If you see the orange, it's actually jelly. So the inside is a jelly. And so they're still using the peel, the orange peel. So it's a zero waste. And all these products, they are having a mission, like they have message, purpose, greater purpose. So you can imagine, I'm telling the students, if you do all this education process with a social contract in mind, and it is all integrated, so it is the mind, body, and soul. You will prevent this kind of tragedy happening to your life, as we have seen so many business people, they are so wealthy but yet they are so stressed out. So hopefully this is not what's happening with us as the future business leader. No, we don't want to have this way, right? Yeah, share your thought in the chat, come on guys. So what happened when you don't understand the triple bottom line? It's total failure. You know why? Because nowadays with the technology, the social media, everyone, the NGO, will open up the truth behind your business conduct, and then they will boycott your product if your product is not environmental friendly or is not having a good social impact. So we have learned a lot of companies with the sweatshop stories, and they have to close up because of this social media viral videos, unethical conduct that is made by these businesses. So now you can see, now it makes sense. Social contract integration is a must. Okay, you can see here in the sphere of influence, when you have this core business operation, internally, we have to have a high degree of control. This means we have a very good waste management policy, we have a health and safety policy, the consumption of water, the program for workers and family on health and safety, and you are making sure that everyone in the business is really, engaged, and then they are all into doing social work for the supporting the companies. And this is what we call the internal corporate responsibility. And when you have to choose your partners, you have to also choose someone with a social contract, someone who has this belief that, well, we have to protect the indigenous people, for example, the labor standards. We have to be anti-bribery. We don't go with this hanky-panky kind of thing. We have to help with the social inequity issues, business ethics, operational excellence. So your partners can also share the same level of integrated social contract. And this sphere of influence goes further to the environment, to the government, and then this whole thing will create the new aim to flourish. This is the flourishing concept. When you do business, doing well by doing good. So tell me when the time is up. Is it already 20 minutes? Tell me. Hello, committee. I need some guidance on the time here. Can I just go on? Oh, I'm not
Yes, Doc.
getting.
Yes, Doc. You may still
How
go
many
on.
minutes do I have?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay. So you can see here, integration meaning it has to be everything. Activating the God spot. Wow. Yes. So it is not only your IQ, but it is also your EQ and SQ, which is spiritual quotient and emotional quotient. And so this is how we do things integrated. And when we do the thinking, it's always positive affirmation. And then we use the appreciative inquiry. So instead of looking at problems, we tend to focus on the positive side. And so we are trying to even improve further the positive side. So this is very different compared to the usual when you are always focusing to the negative aspects. Okay, so because I only have 5 minutes, I'm gonna have to skip some of the video. So we skip this one, and we go to the sustainability mindset. So when you talk about sustainability mindset, you have to have ecological worldview. This is the knowledge, the value, and the competencies. So you have the eco-literacy, you have the biospheric orientation, and you have the protective and restorative action. So in my school, people are using the biopores. Do you know the biopores? Like this thing is like you make a hole in the soil. So you are using that for composting and for preventing from flood. And then it is helping a lot. So this is part of the protective and restorative action. And also the system perspective. The knowledge, the value, and the competency. And then you understand that we are all interconnected, especially with this pandemic. Can you imagine this? The whole world is facing the same problem. How we are so interconnected. We never knew back then when it was November in China, they had this problem. We never knew it's going to be in Indonesia. And look, one day it has more than 5,000 cases of COVID-19 here in Indonesia. So this is something, it's an eye opener. We should work together. We should have more integrated sessions like this between countries like us. Yes, and work together this is a stakeholder engagement. And we also need emotional intelligence. Yes, emotional intelligence is when, even though we are different, but we are unity in diversity. We have this awareness, we have compassion, we have a proactive sensitivity. So we build trust, and it's okay to agree to not to disagree. It's okay. Yeah. And we have spiritual intelligence. Spiritual intelligence is where we have this purpose in life. What is our greater purpose? Is it just to make money? I don't think so. I mean, people have lots of money, but they're not happy. Yeah, so we have to find, what is this? Why are we created by God in the first place? And then we are the oneness with everything, the interconnection again. And then we also need to have this contemplative practice. So I like the culture of Letran, because you always start everything with a prayer. That is very, very good. So with this, I think my 5 minutes has ended. Of course, I welcome any questions that you might have. Basically, what we are trying to do here in the International Business School, even though we are very diverse, we have Chinese, Indians, we have Western, we have, of course, Malay, and we have 6 different religious beliefs, but we are having unity in diversity. And we believe in the globally connected, but locally embedded. So we always have this blend. It's not to choose either or, but we embrace. So thank you very much. Waiting for your question.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amelia Indrajaya. Once again, the floor is open for your Q&A. Please do not forget to put your name, your affiliation, organization, and the question so we could formally acknowledge you. Anyone, please, now's the time to actually put something on the chat box for your questions. I'm so excited about what I've learned with Dr. Amelia. It's so fascinating.
Mm-hmm. The talk was very informative, Sir Jello, and we've learned the importance of having sustainable mindset and different perspective. Having initiatives to support and make sustainable development goals a reality. Well, we all know that we are all interconnected, as what Dr. Indrajaya said, and we are the future of this planet.
And I'm also elated that someday we could actually achieve the 17 development goals. I saw that, and Dr. Amelia is right. We have to do this together.
Agree.
And It's so exciting. I've learned a lot so far. Thank you so much, Dr. Amelia. Once again, the chat box is open for your questions. Anyone? Okay, so we have one from Miss Jervina Gaisan from Colegio San Juan de Letran, Dr. Amelia. She asks, empower all to flourish. How can we start this at home?
Ah, wow. That is a very good question. Should I directly answer or should I wait for more questions?
Ma'am, you can directly
You can
answer.
answer.
Okay. Oh, you are asking very correct questions because we have to start it at home. You're right. We don't wait. Uh, Aiming to flourish, meaning like whatever we do, we contemplate. Is it going to be good not only for me, but also for my little family? How about to the my neighborhood? How about to the community? How about to the environment? How about to the universe? So you like have to think and think twice every time you want to do something. For example, when you have this neighborhood system of waste where some of the waste is being burned, then you can think about, oh my gosh, isn't it going to create the ozone, going to have negative impact to the ozone layer and stuff? And oh, well, how about the carbon dioxide and everything? And you start to think in a flourishing way. So if it's not flourishing, so you say, oh, okay, stop, we need to find a better way. So the same thing when you do a business, you have to start with this business model and ask yourself, hey, is there any greater purpose when I do this business? Oh, it's totally only exploiting to get money. Okay, so that means we have to stop. And so I give you an example. There's a very well-known soy sauce here in Indonesia. It's called kecap bango. And so, what the business model is very interesting. It is embracing the farmers. These are illiterate, very low educated farmers, and they are teaching these farmers on how to plant a new seeds, which is called the Malika seeds. It is it's organic and it's resilient and it's a very high quality seeds. And so they are having this uh, collaboration with the researcher and with the farmers, the communities, and the company. And they got this very high quality of the soy for their supply. It's a continuous guaranteed of high quality supply, and they're buying it above the market price. So what happened to the farmers? Now they are well off. They can send their kids to the college, and then they're making a very big legend in a case study. Everyone is talking about this company anyway, and this is making them number one market share for the soy sauce. So doing well by doing good. So anything we do, even though at home, we always think, is it gonna be flourishing? Is it gonna be flourishing? All right, thank you. What a good question.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Amelia. We have one more. Yes, Sir Kerr from Sir Iñaki Pelonio.
Yes, from Sir Iñaki Polonio. His question is, how should small communities and businesses migrate to a more sustainable lifestyle or way of life?
All right, what a good question. Well, I want to tell you, if you go down to the villages, if I go here in Indonesia and I go and interview all these old people who's doing the textile, using the plantations to color their, everything is very organic. And guess what? I started to say to myself, oh my God, actually, our local wisdom, our ancestors are smarter than us. They are already doing all of this very environmental friendly. And somehow, because of the education, we are much more, becomes greedy. And so how do? We use all chemicals, and then we are destroying the environment. So I think if we just go back to our local wisdom, we learn from our ancestors. They are Number one, I can say that they know better. I went to this Nias Island where they had this earthquake, and all the buildings were scattered down except the traditional housing. The traditional housings is made of wood, and then the architecture is hexagonal, and it is none of them is even impacted by the earthquake. So that means our ancestors are clever, are more smarter than the new way of education that we are doing only one way, the Western way. But actually, we learn from our great grand parents. They might have this local wisdom which is more suitable, and then it's more sustainable. What do you think? Right down there in the chat.
Thank you, Dr. Amelia. Once again, Ma'am Jervina Gaisan said thank you, Dr. Amelia, for answering her question.
Thank
And
you.
yes, I actually have a question for Dr. Amelia as well.
Yes.
I'm elated to ask about diversity and how could it actually hinder this synergism that we have to build in order for us to. I'm actually excited to. I saw the 17 development goals that you discussed earlier, and I was wondering how diversity would actually help us achieve that.
Oh, very good. So you're saying in order to support the 17, I agree with you that diversity would be very giving positive impact because we can synergize.
Yes.
Like everyone has their own specialization, and then we can work together because we do agree that no one's perfect, right? But like institution, maybe one institution is good in the chemical research and the other one is good in the management research. So we should work together, and then together we can have this synergy to create a collaboration which is going to have like a radical innovation where the more you do business, the more you do support the sustainable development goals of the United Nations. So now the question is not to just lessen the negative externalities toward the environment, but it is altogether to change the business model. So it's not enough to just, like you're saying, oh, let's just make it carbon dioxide lesser by like reducing, you don't burn the waste and stuff like that. But this thing is too, what do you call that? Trivial because it's already in the grave. It's a waste. It's on the grave path. We need to do something on the cradle. Cradle is the business model. Yeah. So we need to change the business model to make sure that the more we do business, the more we do good. So to make it impactful, it has to be a radical innovation.
Thank you, Dr. Amelia. Thank you so much for the answer. All right. So, Sir Iñaki was actually thanking you again, once again, Dr. Amelia, for answering his questions again. And I would like to again thank you. I'm sure that all our listeners and our participants were excited, were well informed about your topic. Thank you very, very
Thank
much.
you very much. I'm sorry
Good
I have
luck.
to leave early.
Yes,
But then, yes, please, if there's any other questions, you can always email me.
yes. Thank you again, Dr. Amelia. Thank you so much for attending our webinar.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Doc.
So, Sir Kerr, what's next in our program?
It's all about resilience, Doc. You
All
know,
right.
Sir Jello, when we talk about resilience, it's about you're able to withstand or recover quickly from difficult conditions, knowing the right time, spring back after adversities. I have a belief that if you fall 5 times, stand up 6 times, get back up and collect yourself. That's what being resilient is all about. And just like us Filipinos, we are being tested right now due to Typhoon Ulysses, but I believe the dawn will shine upon us again.
That's right, Sir Kerr. And you know what? I think our second speaker would actually give us great information about having being resilient and how to be
Agree.
resilient.
Right.
So let us now recognize and acknowledge our second speaker for today, Dr. Shirley Young, the Program Director for Education for Sustainable Development, UNESCO Hong Kong. And we are very much pleased as well, Madam, to have you today as well. Now, Sir Kerr, since I did the introduction of our first speaker, would you like to do the introduction of our second one?
Well, of course, Rogelio. So Dr. Shirley Young is now the Assistant Professor of Department of Supply Chain and Information Management of the Hang Seng University at Hong Kong. She's the Conference Chair for International Conference on Sustainable Development in Higher Education, UNRME Colloquium. He serves as Director of the Center for Corporate Social Responsibility and Innovation at Hang Seng Management College in Hong Kong. Dr. Jung was nominated as Local Change Leader of United Nations. She is an IEMA approved sustainability practitioner, IRCA ISO 9000 auditor for UK, UIP assessor for US, and subject specialist. Dr. Jung has been convener of the first Forum on Sustainable Development in Higher Education for UNESCO and APID, and chair of the second International Conference on Supply Chain for Sustainability. Research interests include quality management system, sustainable development, corporate social responsibility, management, and marketing. And she is the director of the Center for Business or Social Sustainability Innovations.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes.
So everyone can listen clearly.
Yes, Doc.
Okay, so thank you for the very kind introduction from Brian, and also the kind invitation from Dr. Eunice Ariola. And also it's very happy to meet online with Dr. Amelia. So actually three of us are ladies. And also we know each other since the 2015 when we're working for the UN Prime about different kind of conferences. So I think the event of today is very good with the theme. I can maybe tell you about three big letters. IRR, internal rate of return, just like our theme, which is about integration, I, and then the resilience and also replicability, okay? So you remember that will be similar to internal rate of return. We need to invest our time, energy to build a relationship and network, and has to be sustained so that you can have the outcome. So Dr. Amelia just mentioned something about the sustainability mindset that I've been, involving in the past few years. But moving to that, now the world keep on changing. So we need to learn something new. So you can see in the share screen right now, it's a new way of software. Anybody know about that? Put up your hand. It's not PowerPoint. Oh, very good, Dr. Eunice. It is called ARCGIS, ARCGIS, okay? So I'm going to learn, okay, from different way and present the ideas because under COVID-19, we have more time. In the negative side, maybe you think, oh, we suffer the pressure, everybody may be social distancing, we cannot connect, but take this time to learn something new and you can refresh and then resilience. So that's why I say IRR is a very good topic of today. Integrate with partner that can compensate about your weaknesses or about the thing that you don't know too much, okay? Not that good. But from your partner, I have a lot of technological people around me. So learn something new and you can present the ideas from another new angle. So that will be a way to resilience. And finally, how to make it repeat, okay, or maybe can be applied in different scenarios. This is about your creativity and also about the need, okay, and the want. So you can see right now here for the topic is coding and also remote learning. But the keyword is leaving nobody behind, okay, just like the first word, integration. So when we're going to talk about integrate, we need to look at from the business angle, demand and supply. What kind of demand right now under COVID-19? Demand will be they want to have safety, calmness, they want to get their job back, They want to know what will be the uncertainties, and then still within our control, we can do something, right? So with the technology, we can see the a big picture of what's going on. So inside this one, would you please roll down? Yeah. So using the GIS, we need to consolidate some of the data, okay, before we are going to talk about what we are going to do. As Dr. Amelia mentioned about the sustainability, the mindset, believe who we are, okay, our mindset, and then the thing about what we can do, okay. So the big picture here will be getting the data from the Future Talent website, which is about the job is moving up. So you can see here, okay, will be about IoT, okay, about 87% for the Internet of Things, and also blockchain architect and nurse, okay. So two major different areas about technology. And the other side is about wellness, caring from the nurse sector, okay. So if the growing area will be these two areas, and actually I'm not from the nurse, okay, nursing area or maybe technology, but we are teaching or maybe auditing how we can integrate from the demand of the job that you can see, okay, and fit into maybe a local context, Hong Kong. Then you can see the topic there, which is about using sustainable development goals. That will be just like synergy, a kind of a trigger, okay, to make you the outcome to think. Number one, what are the future, okay, the skill set? Is it we have job? Is it we can help people to transform from one professionalism to another one? So what are the talent development? Because for the sustainable community or society, we need somebody to have the mindset, keep on learning something new, which is the skills that needed by the society. And the second thing will be about industry, how we can have some kind of innovations put in the service. And the service will be have a quality standard that people are willing needed, okay? So I just give you to have a holistic picture. These are the demand of the area, but don't be scared about technology and also nursing area that they are not your expertise. They are related to maybe management, okay, or maybe service sector when you're doing tourism. So everybody is connected, okay? You need to think about from the indirect way, right? So scroll down, please. So if we go further, okay, to the GIS, I just make up. Now I'm using the tools will be about design thinking. Anybody know about design thinking? How many steps? Okay, I type in here, okay, 5 steps, okay, for design thinking. And design thinking is very good because they can trigger you from a different perspective. The first thing will be empathy, the first step. So you need to think about, okay, from the user's point of view, what kind of service that you want, what kind of job, okay, why we need that kind of job, okay? So empathy will be the first step. The second one will be about the scope. Try to narrow down and be focused what exactly you want to do. If you think it too big, too wide, so you lose the focus and you will think about, oh, that is not my area. Maybe we cannot create an impact. A lot of people say the SDG is so big, okay, 17 goals, and they are related to the government, how as a teacher, as a student, what we can contribute, right? So narrow down in one particular area. For the SDGs, I focused on number 4, 4.7, skill transferable, and also about 9, innovations, 8, economic impact, and 17, about partnership, right? So the first step will be empathy. Now try to imagine, I compare about 3 different areas. This is about integration and also resilience and replicability. We want to repeat the angle from different area. So I try to compare Hong Kong, and then with the US, Washington, DC, and also with Johannesburg, which is South Africa. Okay, now scroll down, please. You can see about the unemployment rate. Everybody suffer, okay, under COVID-19 because losing their job, and also because of the social policy and also the country lockdown, right? So take a look here. We have education sector, healthcare, tourism, retail, catering. They are all the industry, okay, mostly affected, okay, under the post-COVID-19. So this is the market in US. So before I use the GIS system, we need to collect the data first, okay? From the official reliable sources, maybe government statistics, or maybe SME, or some kind of the trade council. So once you get the data and then you upload into the ArcGIS system, and they will give you a lot of, okay, visual diagram, and you can compare within very short time, and you can see, so what will be the next step we can plan to do, right? So now you can see in the US there, it's quite hit hard for education, okay? A lot of people may be scared to go to US now, okay? Because they're using Zoom, or maybe distant learning. They cannot see about the benefit, maybe studying locally, a lot of things. Eh? So now scroll down, when we take a look for, okay, another country. So this is Hong Kong. So Hong Kong, if you compare, okay, the same thing about education, caring, tourism, okay. So catering. I'm also the lifetime advisor for Hong Kong Catering Association. I've been working over about 30 years, half in the commercial area and then half in the education sector. So, and a lot of role which is appointed by associations. So I know a lot of data that in the other areas. So in Hong Kong, people love to eat. They love to go out, dining out. Under social distance policy, used to be like maybe 2 people in one table or 4 people. Now it's going to be 6. Okay. Every week, the Hong Kong government is going to renew the situation of COVID-19, and then they will say, oh, what will be the new policy? When we walk into the shop, we need to measure the thermometer about the body temperature, and then we need to have a kind of cardboard, transparent cardboard, or something other material to separate, okay, people, maybe 2 people, like one side and the other side. So all those kind of things will be coming up. But if we think from another side, that will be creating job. A lot of logistic and also administration in following the government policy. Okay, so job will be created, and the skills that will be about hygiene, safety. So we need to visit a lot of like WHO or maybe Hong Kong government medical area. What kind of thing can be applied into catering, restaurant, tourism, all those, right? So you need to think about the situation right now and compare with other country and think about the ecosystem. Anything will be similar, and then we can generate next action, develop some kind of apps or technology, or thing can be shared within the 3 countries. Okay, next one, please. Thank you for Jenny's help about the share screen. Now, when we take a look for South Africa, okay, Johannesburg. So my good friend in Johannesburg is my schoolmate in Harvard University, and he's working in the real estate and is the entrepreneur, and also working for UN. And you can see from there, the catering is not that much, okay, but the healthcare sector, okay, is pretty high. So you can see if we compare the 3, okay, countries about the major industry and also the unemployment. Now, the second step will be, so what are the business opportunities and also the job opportunities? Okay, next one, please. So the first conclusion after compare the 3 areas will be about different kind of situation and the key sector, okay, that they have higher unemployment rate. Now we need to look at the opportunities and also the situation. So for healthcare, okay, sector, because of the country, some of them will be locked down, okay, they work from home, study at home, everything based on the home. But for developing country, they have no Wi-Fi, okay, so how are we going to learn? We need to think about from others' angles. So that is empathy. Remember design thinking, we talk about first step, empathy. Second thing will be about the scope. Narrow down the scope in healthcare sector or education sector. The third step will be ideas. So we try to brainstorm if we want to have remote learning, remote job, new skills. So what are the things that we need? So design thinking, the 4th step will be about prototype. think about the standard procedures, okay, that we can apply into different country, different sector. And the last step will be try to validate to see whether it's workable or not. So if we take a look in the GIS system here in Washington, mostly, okay, the carrying industry going up will be around the Ward 1 to Ward 8 area in Washington, D.C., okay? So scroll down. Now, if we take a look for, okay, another country, which is for Hong Kong. So Hong Kong, okay, anybody come to Hong Kong? I know Dr. Amelia and also Eunice, or maybe some student visiting Hong Kong before. Hong Kong made of 3 islands, Hong Kong Island, Kowloon, and New Territories. If you compare Hong Kong side, okay, with US, Washington, D.C. more focused in all their healthcare, okay, sector there. In Hong Kong, spreading quite, okay, around and concentrate in the Hong Kong Island there, you can see, and different area they have elderly homes, okay? Now, next one. Because Hong Kong is so small, right? Now, for Johannesburg also, they scatter around and focus in the central area and some of the main city area. The thing that we can learn is we need to get data if you want to find a job, or maybe you want to move out to other country to develop your new career. We need to think about where will be getting worse, which country, which industry sector. And then think about which country and the industry sector is going up. Mobility is very important. You can mobilize the resources and think about where you really want to go. Physically, your person no need to be there, or maybe after next year, if we have vaccine, you can go there. But you can use your network, remote, and also maybe Zoom, any kind of software to build your foundation of your career in other side. Okay, next one, please. Okay, so now retail. Okay, now going down, a lot of coding, AI technology, or even blockchain. I'm the one in Hong Kong to using blockchain for book publication. So think about, even though I'm not a person coming from technology, if you have a good network in AI, in coding, in the blockchain, that will be about knowledge transfer. I learned, okay, from the very professional people in technology area, and then I will take a look from the user experience, okay, what we can do using that kind of very user-friendly technology for doing our business, for doing my teaching in a very user-friendly way. Just like this is the ArcGIS, I know how to do it. But if you're spending time, maybe 3 hours to making this, maybe I can invite a student helper that maybe from architecture, okay, to help me to do this. For them, maybe just only 1 hour. So that will be about cost effectiveness and efficiency. But you need to learn something new first to see how they can enhance about your teaching, learning about your own area. All right. So scroll down. So here we'll be talking about technology, okay, apply. Now, a very brief picture compare Washington, Hong Kong, and Johannesburg in the catering area. A lot of apps coming up, okay, Uber, okay, delivery, and you can see Uber will be in the first tier, and down below, a lot of chain restaurants, they use apps, okay, so that will be about the growing market, about technology. Even though you may not working in the catering area, but you are the user. When you order the takeaway food, maybe you need to know which app will be better, which app can give you incentive, maybe 80% discount or 50% discount. Okay, what kind of payment system there? So from the user point of view, you also need to know about technology, right? Okay, next one, please. So now, we finished with the first part. So any question on first part? So from the presentation here, the first, okay, for my delivery will be about holistic area to see about the unemployment. The second will be about the business opportunities related with technology. Now, the last part will be now link up to yourself, how you can build your own collaborations and repeat the thing that you've been doing in the past, okay, and apply into other country, other community. So under COVID-19, only about, I think, 7 to 8 months, I published about 14 books. So these are the things that we can repeat in other country. So this one, It's about spiritual leadership. So if you want to be, okay, connected and also build your own network, you need to know who will be the spiritual leader. Anybody around you, maybe student, they can be spiritual leader. They inspire you to do something new from another angle. So we need to have some kind of wellness, calm down yourself, good emotion, and think about, okay, how are we going to move forward? The second thing, okay, will be about the humanistic thinking. Okay, using design thinking and put more human element there, and think about how to build our community. So my 14 books on SDGs, 1 month, one book. So after the event of today, if you really want to be the co-author, okay, in my book, I've been translated into 8 languages in the Amazon.com. We can have joint project. So that is about collaboration, okay, integration. And the last thing, this is me. I'm using a lot of book, okay, and also the one in the screen. These are the photos taken by me, okay. So we can use of the photos that you've been do it maybe in your relaxed time or whatever to be a book cover, and also how to build, integrate and resilience. Resilience is not just only reading, but you need to do something. So I'm the yoga trainer and also get the Guinness record in the, about 2 years ago for holding the warrior two pose for about 3 minutes. We have about over 1,000 people in Hong Kong, and I think with Professor, UNESCO, UN, and I'm the only one. Okay, so try to think about how we can make our mind, okay, calm down, doing some healing, or maybe even like a Chinese calligraphy. Okay, so I also practice Chinese calligraphy. So you can see inside there, we can use some kind of writing to calm down yourself. We need to think of the way, and also in the Zoom. Right now it's about conference. We can organize wellness in the Zoom. A few weeks ago, I doing practice, okay, yoga together with Dr. Eunice, okay? And we can use the communication platform, the technology, but doing different kind of thing. Book publication, okay, wellness, yoga, conference, or even Chinese calligraphy. So that is the way for knowledge transfer, okay? Repeat in other country. So almost come to the end, okay? So slow down, please. So besides book publication, so for promoting SDGs, so using technology, this is one of the project is about SDGs for sustainable community that I work with NGO as advisor over 10 years. JCI is a worldwide NGO, Junior Chamber of International. And one of our projects just finished in about 1 month ago. So beside me, they are architects, from the Hong Kong government about urban planning, and also professor, okay? And we're doing online and offline. A lot of student participant, about maybe 50 to 60s, they are in the Zoom area, and we are doing the award, okay, presentation to the student winner. And in the platform, because minimize the number of people, it's just only about 6 people, okay, on site. So this is on site, off site, okay, how to deliver the project. So everything's still going on. Not because of COVID-19 we stop, but we need to think about how to do it even more cost effectiveness, okay? So slow down. Thank you for reminding me 3 minutes, okay? So we're using Zoom for doing a lot of international conferences with NGO, okay, from 50 people to 100 people, okay, how to transform, okay? So diversity and also integration. And everybody feels so happy, resilience, because our friendship's still moving on. So next one, please. And if we have time, I just sent 2 messages to Dr. Eunice. One is about our project. Starting tomorrow, we are going to do the run, okay, run for Bangladesh for 1 month, November 15 to December 15. So 100 Hong Kong dollars for 1 kilometer, and all the money that you've been contributed within 1 month during running or maybe walking, and we're going to help the children that they don't have a very good home, okay, in Bangladesh. So it's a kind of very innovative project, and also under remote learning, okay, under distant policy, right? So this is the yoga that I practice at home, But using the Zoom, we have nurses and also students from Kenya. So this year, I also get a very formal appointment from UN Sustainable Development Solution Network, SDSN, Kenya, for Asia ambassador, because I helping Kenya for and Nigeria a lot of using Zoom or different kind of conferences to upskill about their skill set. Okay, next one, please. Okay, this is about my movie project, and I performing the different kind of yoga together with the young celebrity. It's just only about 12 years old, and then we use a virtual mirror, and then our movie inside the virtual mirror. So the mirror you can put it at home in the hotel, and then you can press the button of the mirror, and then you can have some kind of companion to build your muscle physical. And also this is also my book cover, right? So now my presentation come to the end. So the last wording, I want you to remember HIP, HIP. HIP will be H, Hong Kong, I, Indonesia, from Dr. Amelia's speech, and also P, Philippine Dr. Eunice. So with the collaboration of the women and also the experiences sharing about technology, remote learning, we can build our community and also make something happen, if you focus, calm down, and ongoing relationship, not just only because of one event or one point of touching, but ongoing touching your network in different area. So you can find me in different part of the world. Okay, thank you so much. And if we have time, Brian, you can display the video. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shirley Young.
Well, Dr. Jello, the discussion was very enlightening, and we have learned the significance of resilience in these trying times. Also, the importance of utilizing remote learning and having read to learn something new. Technology truly plays a massive role in today's economy. Pandemic really teaches us to be innovative, and have new or fresh ideas that are feasible and actionable if we really want to move forward.
That is correct, Sir Kerr. If you have questions for Dr. Shirley Young, please just put it in your chat box and we'll get to it after Dr. Eunice's talk. So, Dr. Sir Kerr, let's not make them wait any longer. Let's proceed to our last speaker.
Right, of course.
Last but not the least, let us recognize and acknowledge our third and last speaker for today, Dr. Eunice Marith Ariola, a pioneer professor of sustainability, Aim to Flourish initiative. We are delighted as well to have you today, Madam. Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Maret, Dr. Eunice. Sir Jello, let's know more again about our gorgeous last speaker, shall we?
Of
To the honors.
course. Yes, it is my privilege once again to introduce our third and last speaker. Dr. Eunice Maret Carol Ariola was named Pioneer Professor of Sustainability in the Aim to Flourish initiative of the Fowler Center for Business as Agents of World Benefit of Case Western Reserve University of Ohio, USA, and an Asian Ambassador of LEAP, Sustainability Mindset, a UN Prime Working Group, the Minervas, an international women's group based in Nova Southeastern University, Florida, USA, awarded her as Woman Prime Mover. Her national accolades include recognition as Diplomat in Business Education, the highest recognition given by the Philippine Academy of Professionals in Business Education, as Outstanding Educator in Management by the Philippine Council of Deans and Educators in Business and the Philippine Commission on Higher Education, the Luis I. Ablaso Jr. Distinguished Professional Chair in Entrepreneurship by San Beda College, Alumni Foundation, and the Outstanding Entrepreneurship Educator Award by the Entrepreneurship Educators Association of the Philippines, Incorporated. She is an author, an international speaker, an innovation coach, a sustainability mentor, and a consultancy entrepreneur. Dr. Ariola earned her Doctor of Philosophy in Management from the University of St. Gallen, Switzerland, and rose from the ranks in the Philippine academic scene until becoming the Dean of the Graduate School of Letran. Currently, she is a Vice President for Academic Affairs and the College Dean of VST Angelicum College.
And with all that, may we call on our last speaker for today. Let us all give her a big round of applause. Doc, Doc, Dr. Eunice. We can still hear you, ma'am. No,
Dr.
ma'am.
Eunice, nothing po. Wala pong audio.
Yes. Let's just wait for a while waiting for Dr. Eunice.
Yes, while waiting for Dr. Eunice Ariola, once again, thank you everyone for joining our event. We would like to acknowledge again Dr. Shirley Yung for coming to this webinar. Thank you very much. Also for Sir Calixto Suiza, and also for our guests, also our registrants. Thank you for coming for today and hope you're enjoying as well as we are. Thank you. We would like to also acknowledge participants from Gordon College, Olongapo City, also from Lyceum.
Can you hear me?
Yes, doctor.
Yes, Doc.
Can you hear me?
Yes, doc.
Yes,
We can
Doc.
hear you loud and clear.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All
Yes,
right.
Doc.
All right. So I'll screen share now. Good morning. It's a pleasure to join you. A while ago, um, they were talking about integrative and resiliency. I'd like to add some words into it by saying that being integrative also means being systemic, and being resilient also means being adaptable and context fit. So we move on to the last topic, which is replicability. And I'd like to say that when we speak of replicability for a sustainable social contract, we look at it in the area of scalability. That replicability is the testament of success for any initiative. I hope you agree with that. And in the business language, we understand replicability as scalability, or having improved output from resources that are indicated therein. In this particular presentation, I'll be answering several questions, particularly why, what, how, and where. So the first one is my why, and I'd like to talk about this trifecta of learning. As an educator, and I can only share so much being an educator, I understand that in the mainstream of the world that you do in the business spectrum, there is so much that can be looked into in the area of sustainability. But for myself, it's rather limited in the sense that if I look at the 17 SDGs, I really focus on the number 14, which is creating quality education for all, or advocating to have quality education for all. And in doing that, I have to go back on my why, and looking at it, my why in doing sustainability as an advocacy and an action is the trifecta of learning, that everything that we do as an educator would have to be coming in from the perspective that we do it in order to develop self-directed learning for our students, our learners. And I think as an individual, it's also important that whatever we want to know about, we should be searching for those self-directed learning. However, when we read so much and we get so mess up with it on our mind with a lot of things that we have learned, it's also important that we use our skill of critical thinking. And that is the second item in this trifecta, and that is discerning the objective truth. We read so much about sustainability. Sustainability, as mentioned a while ago by the host, is a term that is an in thing, no? And I don't think it's just not just an in thing at the moment, but it's gonna last. Sustainability is now the wave of this normal, this world. Otherwise, it's really madness not to talk about it. But then again, you read so much and you ask yourselves, which of this is important to me? Which of this is necessary for me to know or is relevant for me to know? Or which of this is actually true? So critical thinking is important in this sustainability, replicability, and that is discerning for the objective truth. However, once you're already able to have that learning and have that critical thinking, it's important that you convert that all into a positive action. Otherwise, if it's only in the mind and it's not in the hand, there is a problem with that. In my case, I started with knowing about sustainability when I submitted my PhD proposal for St. Gallen in 2007. At that time, sustainability was a word that has not yet reached the developing countries like the Philippines, but it's very much already talked about in Europe, particularly in the Nordic countries. So when I submitted my proposal for a dissertation to be admitted, to be interviewed for St. Gallen, they were asking me, what can a country like the Philippines talk about sustainability or CSR when in fact you are just all beneficiaries of CSR of corporations. You're not doing your particular role in making sure that somebody else's benefit from your CSR or sustainability knowledge. But while I was doing my paper and I was doing my research, I came to meet some of the best people that has made me learn about sustainability, starting out in Singapore, which is the country in Asia that is into the innermost circle of sustainability. We created this group called LIP in Kuala Lumpur in about that time in 2013, and LIP stands for this leveraging of acceleration and programs that is supposed to go about in developing the sustainability mindset. Later on in 2014, we got back together and we presented our case at the Academy of Management. I think Shirley Yung has mentioned that a while ago, and Henry Mintzberg was there, and Jay Barney was there, and Stuart Hart was there, and they were talking about a strategy that is far different from the strategy that I learned from the business school. And their strategy is about the word love. And it's love for the country, the environment, the communities that we serve, the companies where we work, the schools where we teach. And so there is this new mindset, new thinking of how to go about strategy in doing business and creating value for your businesses. And so for my case, I decided to bring that knowledge in the country. I decided to bring that in the Philippines, starting off with that at that time, the university where I teach at the University of Santo Tomas as a part-time lecturer. And then brought about by the changing tide, the UN Prime was created. The UN Prime is the UN Principles of Responsible Management Education. After the 30th anniversary of the Global Compact in June 2015, it was created in New York, and we are tasked to apply everything that we know about sustainability in the current work that we do. We have to replicate what we understand about sustainability. So writing it in a dissertation doesn't cut it. You have to implement it some way or the other. Miss Amelia has mentioned doing it in her school with her students, doing sustainability work, doing CSR related entrepreneurship ideas. In my case, when I was the Dean of Letran way back in 2015 until 2018, we decided to put it in the curriculum. And so you see an emphasis on the word CSR and corporate governance, both in the MBA and the DBA and the undergraduate programs of the college. The application of PRME was right in consonance with what Letran stands for, and that is Deus Patria Letran. And so in the graduate school, and I take pride in saying that in the graduate school, we converted it into ethical global leaders. Deus meaning God, and if you love God and you respect God, you will not be doing anything that is not ethical. If you love your country, which is Patria, it means that your country can be good enough to be benchmarked and be promoted to the rest of the globe. And Letran, because Letran is the cradle idol of a lot of leaders, both in the church and in sports and in politics and in business. So the third word that we created in tune with the prime sustainability adaptability is leaders. And so we had a lot of these activities way back when, and some of the speakers we've invited, and they talked about sustainability. At the time, sustainability was something that people don't readily talk about because it's not something that is quite foreign to some of them. But it is a struggle for me to talk about sustainability at the time, least alone replicate it. But I guess the tide of times was very much favorable for us, for the people behind sustainability education. And so we've gone along, and there are now a lot more researches and work on sustainability. So the dissertation led to the book, Good Work is Good Business, and a feature on a book on brave leaders, still talking about the case of promoting CSR and sustainability mindset. And of course, replicating it not just within the halls of the school that I serve, but also replicating it in other countries, even talking about sustainability in the Graduate School of Education in Chulalongkorn University, as well as in Hong Kong with business leaders, and recently attending the Paris Peace Forum, which I've attended since 2015 as a signatory of the Paris Climate Change, COP21. So that is my why. That is the why behind my being in sustainability. Let's now go to the what. What are the most important issues? What are the urgent issues that has to be looked into whenever we speak of sustainability or creating a social contract? In this aftermath of the Black Lives Matter and in the midst of the pandemic, you will be surprised that infectious diseases is only number 13 in the most talked about issue of the world now. And number 15 on the Black Lives Matter is discrimination and diversity. What is wonderful is that the number one urgent issue of the day is climate change. Loss of biodiversity is the second, and water scarcity is the third. Maybe in the Philippines we don't have a problem with water scarcity, but the rest of the world has. And so this urgent issue leads us now into looking at what are private sectors doing. And in that same study, they found out that private sector is perceived as the third worst performing institution on sustainable development. So it's not recently during the pandemic and the lockdown, there were a lot of talks about our environment becoming greener, and they were talking about it's because the cars were not allowed on the streets. But and the reality is it's not the cars that are causing pollution. It's just it's just a what do you call this? It's just perhaps an imagination of people that, or they're just now being able to look at their surrounding because there are no cars. But the carbon emission of cars is not really the cause of pollution in the Philippines. It's still the industries. It's still the private sector, not the home, not the individual car owners. However, in that particular study as well, they said that leadership is seen as integrating sustainability into the core business strategy and setting ambitious targets or SDG commitments. So leadership now is not just about knowing the concepts, knowing the business strategy. Now it's getting a notch higher in that business strategy and putting ambitious targets on particularly SDGs, any of the 17 SDGs. In another fact, and this one you can fact check, of course, from GlobeScan Sustainability. Just last November 11, 2020, they came out with the 10 sustainability leaders. And the sustainability leaders now looks at 4 new companies. Microsoft, Ørsted is rather new, and you will be surprised that Ørsted is a Danish company that is into energy. So energy can be sustainable. And then you have L'Oreal, a French company, and you know L'Oreal, it's the beauty products, and they're now the new entrants in this sustainability leaders, which is really paradoxical because when you think about it, L'Oreal used to be in a lot of chemicals for beautifying women over the years, but now they've entered into the big league of sustainability leaders. And the fourth one, you know, Tata. Tata is an Indian multinational. It's a very diverse company. You know them for recently acquiring Jaguar and Land Rover. But Tata And you say India, how can India be sustainable? Because India is almost number one in pollution. You'll be surprised that India just signed an accord on being sustainable by 2030 for all of its companies. And Tata is a new entrant to this list because Tata is one of the biggest companies in India. Of course, the top three is still occupied by Unilever, Patagonia. Patagonia is a company that is in it's a company that's involved in outdoor wear. You know, it's an American company involved in outdoor wear, and it's still in number two. And of course, IKEA pronounced in the English way, but IKEA in the Swedish way, which is into the building and design of ready to assemble furniture. So it's still on the top three list. So how do we do replicability? There are four factors that we have to understand when we try to decide doing replicability. Those factors are technical, economic, regulatory, and of course shareholder acceptance. In the technical side, it can only be replicated or scaled up when products are being standardized, there is interoperability, and there is common configuration, and that configuration is something that people know about. So for people who are into manufacturing, it would be good to know that in Europe now, they are putting labels behind every manufactured item in the household appliance area on how this can be repaired. There is a repair kit that goes with what you buy for your household appliances. So you don't put them in the recycling area, or don't put them in the trash, okay, in a dump site, but you can repair it yourself. That is now a requirement in the Euro Commission, that when a product is created for the home use, they can also be repaired by the owners of this equipment, of this appliance. The next one is economic. Replicability requires that macroeconomics is looked into. How does it affect the entire picture? It may be good for the company, but is it good for the community at large? Is it good for the region? It might be end up as, us doing something sustainable, but the people around us, the countries around us is not sustainable. It's something that is that can be articulated in this particular example. When you say that your farm is organic, your farm is all natural, and yet the farm beside you is not organic, you can't claim that your farm is organic, because that farm that is not organic and your farm is only occupying the same airspace. Okay? The second one is market design. And replicability has something to do with market design, what can be done in the country, for example, in our context, should be something that can be replicated in other markets or in other industries. And of course, business model. The business model that you innovate for something good is now the thing that has to be done, and not just a business model for profit. It is no longer profit or innovation for profit. It's now innovation for profit and a common good. And as mentioned a while ago, it's not or either, it's always and. So I repeat, it is no longer innovation for profit, but innovation for profit and a common good. The third one is regulatory, and it's important that there are regulations within the country or within the region that takes care of this ideas and values and desires for sustainability. A common guidelines that protects people equally. For example, if we will impose our Clean Air Act, the rest of the countries in the region must also adopt that, meaning all of us has to scale up the way we are reducing our carbon footprints. Otherwise, we can't be well and the rest of the world is not, or vice versa. And finally, shareholder acceptance. If the shareholders are not in the buy-in of becoming sustainable, then it is difficult to replicate. It is difficult to replicate that across industries. It is difficult, in fact, to replicate it in a company. I mean, the decision for a company and its direction will have to come from the top. And if the top doesn't share, doesn't accept that kind of idea on sustainability, then we can only do so much. Some things that are going on around the globe. Number one is this ESG related bonds have been largely green. Green meaning environment focus. But social bonds will surge after 2020. So after this pandemic of 2020, there will be a surge in social bonds. For example, Alphabet Inc. has just made the largest corporate ESG bond, comprising 5.75 billion bonds, or a total of 41 billion, which makes them up by 373%, to fund organizations, and hear this, to support black entrepreneurs, SMEs impacted by COVID-19, affordable housing, and other pressing social issues. Compared to 2019, the 285 billion bonds was spread across green for 77%, sustainability 17%, and social 6%. ESG, of course you know this, it stands for economic, social, and governance. Next, of the 160 corona vaccines under development, and you must be also in tune with all of these new developments on the pandemic, and how we will be able to get out of this as one global community. 5 have successfully advanced to stage 3 trials, like that of Pfizer and Eli Lilly and Johnson. If approved within the end of the year, an unprecedented supply chain effort will kick off into high gear to produce and distribute the vaccines. The World Economic Forum estimates that between 10 to 19 billion vaccines will be needed globally. To put it in perspective, and I wrote it here, 1 billion children have been vaccinated in the world over the past 10 years. So if 1 billion children all over the world for the past 10 years, how do we solve the problem of supply chain and fraud and traceability, if you're going to distribute 10 to 19 billion vaccines immediately? So the new technology of blockchain, this new business on blockchain technology, will be very valuable for people in the business like you. The third one, the switch to sustainable fashion, and this one is very interesting. In the last CSR Asia conference, one of the biggest pollutants that they were talking about is actually fashion. In particular, all of these fashion houses that are doing their work in Hong Kong. The designs are made in Hong Kong. They create 3 samples, and these 3 samples, in the time that it's not yet computer aided, 3 samples, and after this, all of this will be dumped. But now they're looking at a fashionable material that will be sustainable, and it's now underway. What are those? Plant-based leather is the next big thing. From mushroom. Can you imagine leather from mushroom? And it's now being done by companies like Amadou and Michael Works. Pineapple leaves for leather, being done now by Piñatex. Cork, converted to leather, it's now being done by Core. But this one is more interesting to me. Eggplant skins to leather by Chef Omar Sartawi. Cacti to leather by Adriano Di Marti. And finally, after they're done doing the apple pie, the apple peels can now be used by Beyond Leather Material apps. Let's move on to the next question. Where? The requisites for replicability. What are those requisites for replicability? Is to be replicable in an area or a product or a business that is both innovative and impactful. To look into what is current but also what is futurist. And take note, and this is the last, one of the lessons, the key takeaways of the recent, like 2 days ago, the Paris Peace Forum. What we do now is not going to be a division between what is human and digital. Human and digital must connect. They should go together to create something that is sustainable. So again, innovative and impactful, current and futurist, and human and digital. For example, shopping bag. The life cycle assessment shows that bags need to be reused between 37 times for plastic and 1,000 times for cotton to have a lower ecological footprint than single-use plastic bag. So the Tesco in UK stores will be removing 1 billion plastic bags by 2021 just by advocating a very simple thing. People need to pre-order and they have to bring their own bag. BYOB. Pre-order and BYOB. Bring your own bag and that's it. You'll be reducing plastic, single-use plastic in the amount of 1 billion pieces by 2021. The next one, which is rather interesting as well, is that if you say you want to be sustainable and that is very costly for the company and people are losing jobs because of this pandemic, you might also want to know that 400 million jobs can be created in the wake of pandemic, generating $10 trillion by making $2.7 trillion in green investments and getting a 370% return from it. From the new report of the World Economic Forum on Future of Nature and Business, the opportunities range from retrofitting cities for eco-efficiency. That's now the move in the Nordic countries. Retrofitting cities, buildings will be retrofitted for it to be eco-efficient rather. $835 billion benefit to better management of wild fish. $172 billion benefits. And if I may add, going into plant-based diet is also a contributor, a big contributor here. And bailouts from fossil fuel industry. So you see, not investing in sustainability today is economic madness. Finally, the reason financial reporting works is because it is standardized. Non-financial reporting, and this will be good topics for your dissertation, is to take a look beyond CSR, sustainability, ESG, or Sustainable Development Goals reporting. Because it's not there yet. We're not yet standardized all of the CSR, sustainability, ESG, or SDG reporting. But later on, all of the annual reports of companies would have to include this. But the trail includes toxic release inventory, which was started in 1986. The EMAS, which is the environment audit. It's called the Eco Management and Audit System in 1993. Then you have GRI, Globally Responsible Initiative in 1999. And then AA 1000, which is Assurance Standard for Accountability, which is an accounting thing. CDP is the Global Environment Impact. A-Force, Accounting for Sustainability. The IIRC, which is the International Integrated Reporting Council of 2010. The SASB of 2011, which is Sustainability Accounting Standards Board. And R3.0 of 2012, which is redesigned for resiliency. Of course, you also have Future Fit Business Benchmark in 2016 and Value Balancing Alliance in 2019. World Economic Forum is now working with the big four accounting firms for a project called Toward Common Metrics and Consistent Reporting of Sustainable Value Creation. So later on, it's not just going to be talking about the financial data, but more importantly, the non-financial data on sustainability reports. So there's a lot of learning that we can take away from this pandemic. And replicability is also looking at this situation and be more adaptable and looking at where sustainability can be replicated. There are life-altering impacts because of this pandemic. One would be key behaviors around air travel. I travel a lot and I realized because of this pandemic, you can actually replicate your work online. You don't need to travel and create so much carbon footprint while traveling, because you can do it online, and maybe it's not as experiential, but if you're just looking at the learning and be more creative into learning, you can actually pass it doing this webinar, something like this. Appreciating nature, a work-life balance. Dr. Yung mentioned a while ago that we can do yoga online, and yes, we do yoga online. Working remotely and switching to renewables is very important, and that's a life-altering impact of this pandemic situation. I'd like to end by talking about key lessons on replicability, and I go back always on the power of purpose why we do all of this talk on sustainability. Let's talk about inflection points. Naomi Klein spent her whole life, she's a Canadian author and activist and teaches at Rutgers University in New Jersey. She spent her whole life talking about shock events. And she realized in her research that shock events like financial crisis or pandemic, they are necessary but they are not sufficient. Can you imagine? We've been locked down for like 9 months, and it's a very big inflection point, and yet it's not yet sufficient. What will make all of these inflection points, these turning points sufficient? Number one, utopian imagination. To be able to replicate the work on sustainability, all of us, and I mean all of us, should have a compelling vision of what better looks like. And so I don't want people talking about the new normal, because I think it's a disgrace to go back to anything that is normal, even if it's a new normal, because the moment that it's already mainstream, it's no longer new. But we have to go back to a better normal, a good normal, a normal that is how the God designed it, how heaven designed it, where people are better, people are more caring of each other, they are more tolerant, they enjoy diversity, they're more innovative, they're more loving. A utopian imagination is needed. Second one is we need movement muscle. There's so much rhetoric. People talk about it, big conversation, intimate ones. But the question is, are we doing something about it? So enough of the rhetoric. We have to have an organized mobilization of people behind powerful causes. And that for me is a necessary thing to add up to the inflection point. And finally, going beyond no's. What we do not want to a yes. What we do want. For example, is this seminar, I was thinking that it's not gonna push through because of the typhoon. And yet people like you braved to continue it. And I hope that at the end of the day, you will say that my Saturday morning was worth the while. Utopian imagination, movement muscle, and going beyond the nose to a yes. In conclusion, there are three types of sustainability leaders according to UNGC and Russell Reynolds Associates. The born believers, which is 45% of the people now in sustainability, and these are people with a passion for the environment or social issues fostered from an early age, like Miss Thunberg, Greta Thunberg. Then you have the convinced, 43%, where the understanding of the strategic importance of sustainability grew as they advanced in their careers. And I put myself in this category. The third one is the awoken, the 12%. And millennials talk about awoke. And this is the third type of sustainability leaders, the 12%. Those with pivotal moment of realization, which was prompted by some major events or experience that there was more to business than profit. We celebrate all the time number one and number two, and these are the people who talk about sustainability. But I think post-pandemic, we will be seeing a lot more of the awoken. And if you are in that part of the awoken, I hope that you'll be able to later on, as you advance in your career, move up to the convinced and be able to influence a lot of born believers. So for this morning, I'd like to leave you with these three powerful messages. Make sustainability efforts focused, make sustainability action forceful, and make sustainability mindset personal. Because replicability cannot happen if it is not personal. Good morning to everyone.
Thank you, thank you, Dr. Eunice, Mara, and Viola.
Well, thank you for that, Dr. Eunice. Topic was very timely, and Thank you for imparting great knowledge to all of us here today, Dr. Eunice. And I completely agree that not investing in sustainability in business is basically purely an economic madness. Um,
That is correct, Cirker. And what I noticed from Dr. Amelia to Dr. Young and Dr. Eunice is that sustainability is actually a force that we need to actually invest in, so
right.
that it is not something that is a trend. It's actually ongoing. It's a process. So I think it's really timely, like what you said, that we and all our participants are here right now, and relishing all of this information. And with that, I think I can see here many of our participants have questions. If you have questions again for Dr. Shirley Young and Dr. Eunice Ariola, please kindly put your name on our chat box with your affiliation organization and the question so far. So we will now be opening our question and answer for today.
Okay, and before we proceed to question and answer, we would like to acknowledge the presence of our participants from Lyceum of the Philippines University, Manila and Cavite, Gordon College, St. Jude's College, Department of Education, Leo de San Juan de Letran, Far Eastern University, Philippine Women's University, Bank of the Philippine Islands, Oryx Metro, World Council for Curriculum and Instruction, Student Teachers Network, Polytechnic University of the Philippines, ANRA IT Products Incorporated, CTE Group of Institutes, and Trinity University of Asia. We would like to express our sincerest gratitude to all of you for sharing your time with us this morning.
All right. So I think we have questions here that I would like to read for Dr. Eunice and Dr. Shirley. So, Madam, we have a question from Miss Jervina Gainsan from Citibank. With COVID-19 still on the rise, how can we practice resiliency in terms of our own mental health and possibly extending it to other people?
Who will answer?
Um, anyone of
Would you like to go ahead?
Maybe I can share some experiences. So I think for mental, maybe we need to understand about the source of unhappiness or what kind of network that we have around us. So try to maybe avoid some negative thinking or maybe something that you think may not be possible. So if you can connect with somebody generate happiness or based on your hobbies or maybe the network or doing something that maybe like I just mentioned therapy. We have a lot of things like healing, drawings, doing something that to maybe avoid the crowd, but you can enjoy the moment. I know a lot of people they lack of a kind of self-awareness, didn't know what exactly they enjoy. So I think maybe take this time and think about what kind of connection you think maybe give you some energy, synergy, and happiness, and then keep on doing this as a habit, regular basis. Because just only one time, we cannot remove some of the negative thinking.
And if I may add, people talk about stressful life during this pandemic. I think it's important that we understand the cause of our stress. We get stressed because of our work, but maybe the root cause of the stress is that we don't understand what we are going to do. So there is something that it is not rocket science. I mean, it can be explained. It is not something that would require a miracle to solve. If we are stressful with our work, maybe the solution is we study about our work. We relearn, we unlearn, and we learn again about all of these things that we are doing during this time of pandemic. For example, in our case as educators, it's really stressful to teach online. But once you get the kick of it, you learned about all of this platform, the LMS. You don't need to ask students to answer papers. You just let them answer their exams through Menti, you know, for them to participate. I mean, it's just a lot of creativity that is needed, because if you will be defeated by stress, then you can't be productive. And if you can't be productive, you can't be replicated. You can only replicate what is being done efficiently. So if you're stressed, kind of take a look what is the cause of your stress. And in our case, Dr. Jung and I talked about it, and that's what we do. We do a lot of exercise. We do a lot of mindfulness exercise. We do physical exercise. Yoga may be physical, but it's also mindfulness, and it helps a lot. We only do it for like 5 minutes, Dr. Jung. Just 5 minutes yoga, right? 5 minutes, and that's it. It changes your whole morning or your whole afternoon. Gives you a clear perspective of what you're doing, because in this pandemic, the most, and she's doing how we do the yoga now, and in this post pandemic, stress is the highly stressed word, and it's not supposed to be the case for people like you and me.
All right, thank you, doctors. Now we have another question from Penny Pimentel, an MBA student of Letran. I have a question to Dr. Shirley. Dr. Shirley, her question is, what can you advise on employees having lockdown fatigue? And do you suggest any ways to avoid lockdown fatigue? Thank you.
Okay, so I think maybe under COVID-19, people, are scared of go out or lockdown, and then maybe using Zoom. So we need to think about one way. Say, for example, where to go out, and you need to see sunshine. Never just only limit in the physical area. You need to find some light, okay? And also, don't focus on the screen too much, even though we have a lot of Zoom activities. But you can Zoom maybe in the garden, or I do a lot of hiking, walking. So you can download maybe the apps for charity miles. I use it like every day, even like maybe finished with the conference. So I turn on the charity miles, and you try to donate some money, say for example, UN Girls Up or whatever. And then using that app is to focus yourself. You keep on walking. You don't need to run. Everybody can walk. But while you're walking, you're thinking about what we can do, and also fresh about your mind. Need to have fresh air, something with life, even maybe planting, or reading something like maybe see, or breathing. Okay, say for example, we can practice breathing. One stop breathe. Say for example, only one breath, but take it very slowly. Okay, even breathing is a kind of technique. So I would do breathing, mindfulness, or different kind of way that with sunlight, something with life, plant, or maybe doing something that you can focus to see the growth. Say for example, appreciate some of the flowers, some of the animals has to be colorful too. Okay, fresh air, colorful, outside. Don't stay within the four walls for too long, no more than maybe 2 hours. And then find out something that you can do it with your hand, something that you seldom do, inversion. Say, for example, you always use your right hand to do something. So try to do something with your left hand. If you're using maybe a stand up all the time, try to sit down. Do something that you seldom do it. And that will be balanced about your left and also the right brain.
Thank you, Dr. Shirley. We have another question from Kessie Moreno from the MBA grad of PSBA. What are the practical strategies we can replicate from Hong Kong to Philippines and vice versa in relation to the number one most urgent issue, climate change, and number 13, infectious disease, COVID, both relevant nowadays?
I think maybe we can replicate like through this conference. If somebody have interest in economic, social, or environmental, we can have like working group, small working group, like maybe 2 or 5 people. Don't have to be too many, okay? Because we need to ongoing, just like Dr. Eunice and also Amelia, we stay for about 6 or 7 years. So small group, and think about what are the solutions. Say for example in Hong Kong, I do publication, and the student can be over. Let them to have confidence in doing something. Don't criticize about the grammar and all those. Just let them contribute, engage. If somebody want to do environmental or maybe doing some kind of planting, so just engage a small group first and using one project. But that project we can that's what I'm doing. Say for example, I do movie shooting. The fourth movie will be end of this month. It's about cross generation. I can engage some of your participants to be our actors or actress in the Zoom. Okay, I engage my student, even though some lockdown and my students still in China, then I will just use WeChat and say that, oh, if you want to perform, maybe we can have character for you in a Zoom and say that, oh, maybe we're thinking about a sort of new business, a Zoom business, or maybe buying agent for Chinese people. A lot of Chinese, okay, they want to buy a lot of luxury product from Europe, but they cannot go there anymore. So a lot of buy agent, there's an army of buy agents, a new business, okay, in Hong Kong, and then they buy a lot of European products and link up with the tourist guy, all those from Europe, they also cannot go up because there's no tourists, right? And that's will be new business coming up. So that can be economic impact. And environmental, I just mentioned. So social, I have ongoing like UNOSSC entrepreneurship economy. Upcoming will be in December 5th and 6th. You can also join, and then if you're a winner, you can get some prizes. We're also using Zoom, right? And also, I have the NGO work together on running, on doing yoga with Kenya and Nigeria. If you are interested, once I'm using the Zoom for doing yoga, I can send you the link. So that will be ongoing. But the thing is, we need to have a common time. So say, for example, usually for my Kenya friend, our common time will be about 4 o'clock, 4 to 5 o'clock weekend, and then we practice yoga together. And then for walking, maybe like you can practice anywhere, okay? Maybe before you go to work, you just walk maybe 30 minutes, and then you let us know, and then we send you the Google link. You can upload the photo. I also established those. You can upload the photo at the end, and then my center maybe give you a small amount each month if you can walk over 10 miles, and then we give you maybe 50 US or maybe $10 US. We can do something like this. So these are all my ongoing projects. I wish to collaborate. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Shirley Young. I think, Sir Kerr, we have another question for Dr. Eunice.
Yes, Dr. Eunice, RB Dimatatak of IIG Insurance has a question for you. His question is sustainability consistent or inconsistent with the concept of maximization?
The word replicability and sustainability is also known as scalability. And maximization is parallel to that. But when we talk about maximization, we do not talk about in the superlatives of creating big. I go back as somebody with an economics degree with the book that I read a long time ago, that small is beautiful. Okay? And maximization is all about creating something really big in some little input that you use. To be sustainable is not to exhaust all the resources around you to create something that is big. It could be a small input, but you maximize. And I think the operative word would have to be optimize. Highest possible with the smallest input. And that is the meaning of sustainability in the context of maximization. For example, you attend conferences for like 2 days or 1 whole day before, live, correct? Now you have a webinar for like 2 hours and you get all of this information. When you say that, of course, this is not experiential, we're not able to chat. My experience with webinars, even internationally, while we are doing our webinar, people are using their Android, their mobile phone to chat and exchanging ideas. Is that wrong? It is not. It is like, replicating what you do on a live conference. So in 2 hours, you get everything. The information, the interaction, and the whole bunch of learning. So it's important that we understand the context of what we do. Because if we will say that I can't have a learning in like 2 hours or 45 minutes, I think this pandemic proved it to be wrong. Okay? This pandemic proved that you don't have to maximize company resources to attend seminars, but because everything now is given for free. And then you will say, but these are not These are not certified. You don't get a certificate for attending. But the certificate is not the guarantee of learning. Remember, a lot of people go to a seminar, they look at the speakers, and if they don't like the speakers, they go out and they go shopping. Right? That's the reality. But this one now, you can't go out and do your shopping. You're tuned in. Because if you miss one thing in a 45-minute or 2-hour seminar, you're losing a lot. And now, you're able to get the maximum participation of people because it's here, it's right, it's on the real time, you see each other, it's short, it doesn't occupy your entire day, and you're able to maximize your 2-hour resources. Maximization is all about that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Eunice. And another question for you, Dr. Eunice, from Sir Gian Ragasa from Henkel. Foreign companies are starting to reduce their carbon footprint. Why do you think our local companies are so slow adopting it?
The word slow is rather true, but it's also true that we are not informed that they are doing it. Okay? For example, how many of you have patronized Shopee and Lazada in the last 9 months? Raise your hand. I bet 99% of this gallery here have purchased something from Lazada and Shopee. But take a look at their packaging. This online shopping has increased the use of double packaging. You have the box, you have the bubble wrap, and you have the plastic, and the adhesive that will make it safe for all of you. And it's not even foolproof that it's secure. I got my certificate in this laminated thing from Singapore for giving a talk with the OFWs. Came from the Embassy of the Philippines in Singapore, and the glass is broken, and it was given to me by UPS. So the more packaging you have is not a guarantee that it will come to you without those damages. And yet you are contributing to pollution. So when you buy something, think of ways, because Lazada now is being pressed by the world community. Think of ways on how to deliver without having so much double packaging. If you can go to a store and bring your own bag. If you will buy and you don't need, I return. When I buy something from a store, I have my own bag, and if they give me plastic, because they don't want to contaminate whatever else is in that bag, I return the plastic. I don't need it, I say. So it's you making it personal. Sustainability has to be your personal decision. Little things count a lot when put together.
Thank you, Dr. Eunice. Sir Kerr, do we have any more questions?
I think we are good to go. Rogella.
Oh, wait. Dr. Eunice, there's another question from Dr. Ronald Katapang from FINMA St. Jude. He was asking, innovation for profit and common good. The idea behind it is very admirable, but how can a third world country can benefit from it? Some are still living from day-to-day basis.
If you're living to day-to-day basis, then you are not, you're not improving your lot. Okay? There are many ways by which we can be sustainable even if we live in a developing country. I mentioned a while ago, 400 million jobs is looked into at being created because of this situation. So the sustainability job is 400 million jobs. What are those jobs? Planting. A lot of people are into planting. You can create job by supplying the seeds, supplying the little plots. Okay? That's a job that you can create it if you're into if you're a green thumb and you're into farming. Okay? Sustainability can be created even if you are a small country. Our local manufacturers should look into this. Nestle in the Philippines is already looking into this. Take a look when you go shopping that in Shopee and Lazada that Procter & Gamble now have large packs of shampoo, the hygiene products. You don't need to buy one bottle of 500 ml every time you need it, or the sachet. You can actually reuse your containers, buy in big bulk, and then you say, but we don't have money. But when you put all together your little consumption, they create a lot. or you can organize your household, your little families, and buy 1 gallon of the conditioner, fabric conditioner, or dishwashing liquid, and divide it into small little containers. So you don't have to buy each one of you a container of it. It can be, you can go to that area of sustainability even if you are poor. In fact, the reason that we can go into sustainable action is because we are poor. Do you get it? The reason why we can reuse, reduce, recycle is because we don't have money to buy. So it's an antithesis. You don't say we're poor, we can't be sustainable. All the more you can't be sustainable because you're poor. Right?
Thank you, Dr. Eunice, for that wonderful answer. Shirker, I think we have one more.
Yes, the question is for Eunice, is sustainable development possible in today's world? In which countries or businesses or individuals are becoming richer by consuming more of the Earth's natural resources?
I didn't get the question. Can you repeat?
Is sustainable development, yeah, is sustainable development possible in today's world? In which countries or businesses or individuals becoming by consuming more of the Earth's natural resources?
The sustainability work is not mutually exclusive. It's actually an action that has to be integrative. When we say that when we produce, we need to use our resources, we are also reminded that when we produce, we should optimize our resources. When we want to become sustainable, we also can be growing. It's just a matter of really looking on how we do the action that we do. It has to be parallel. It doesn't have to contradict. Our actions don't have to contradict. Companies can grow, they can sell a lot, they can use resources, but they have to be very smart in using these resources. Because if you will not look into that, and I think that's important for entrepreneurs and people who are in business, that within large corporations, there are people who have the mindset of sustainability. For example, why is it, this is just an everyday thing, huh? Why is it that when people open their laptop, their televisions are open, and their radios are open, and they open their air condition, but they cover themselves with comforter? It just doesn't make sense. Which to me is important, that we understand our actions as human being, and everything that we do should be in one cohesive mesh. And it doesn't have to start big. It can start small. It can start as an individual. That's why I call it, you have to be personal about it. Because otherwise, you will never be able to say that you can achieve sustainability in your company, in your household, if as an individual, you don't have that sustainability mindset in you. You can only practice, you can only preach what you personally practice. You can only teach what you know, right? And you can only do what you understand. So I think this afternoon, this day is a good day to exercise. Think about how can you become an individual that advocates and acts upon sustainability efforts. And what you have learned, you can pass on to your friends, to people in your company, to your colleagues, and then eventually it can be something that you can talk about in your respective companies. I mean, there's a lot that can be done. Even paper recycling, even writing at the back of a previously used paper is something that will already contribute to reducing the carbon footprint. And not to be able to participate in that even in a small way is really madness.
Thank you, Dr. Eunice. I don't think we don't have any more questions. Thank you for everyone who have posted their questions, and thank you to Dr. Shirley and to Dr. Eunice for answering. This has been a very, very good seminar for me, Sir Kerr. How about you?
I agree, Sir Jello. Now let us hear some opinions and additional information from our distinguished theater. A pleasant morning, Sir Alex Suiza. Um, Sir Alex Suiza founded the C. Suiza Enterprise and the president of Andra IT Products Incorporated. He forged outstanding partnerships with the global brands like HP, Epson, Canon, and Lenovo. He structured the player organization to allow faster flow of information, encouraged development of task forces to address crucial problems and opportunities. So without further ado, let's all listen and welcome our sharer for today, Sir Alex Suiza. Let's all give him a big round of applause.
Good morning again. I'm Alex Suiza, President of Andra IT Products. We have been into operation for 27 years, not experiencing major crisis until COVID came in. So with the 10-minute allotment that I have, I will discuss resiliency because it is very opportune in this time. Not as an expert, but simply sharing our thoughts, mindset, and experience. So after the 10-minute presentation, I wish to accomplish the following: give a simple and clear definition of resiliency, explain the adversity, resiliency, reward, interconnectivity, and the third, how our organization is coping with recovery. So my basic definition of resiliency is bouncing back. Bouncing back. I am adding, however, two more words: willingness and ability, to represent the three components, namely mental attitude for the willingness, knowledge and skills for the ability to bounce back. Now, if you isolate adversity, it is very difficult to imagine how to bounce back. Because most common situations will be depression, bankruptcy, debts, because of the end of tunnel mentality. In our case, we connect adversity with resiliency and reward. So we will be propelled to will to bounce back. This can be well appreciated with this very simple statement, which I borrowed from one of my staff. Difficult roads lead to beautiful places or beautiful destination. Again, difficult roads lead to beautiful destination. This statement encompasses the whole adversity, resiliency, reward, interconnectivity. Difficult roads to adversities and beautiful destination to rewards. So where is resiliency? This statement, difficult roads lead to a beautiful destination, is very tricky. It is not an absolute truth because you can have a million difficult roads, but beautiful destination is nowhere in sight. However, with resiliency that produces hope will make that statement so beautiful because beautiful destination might be the reward, but it doesn't matter if you don't have it inside because you believe that after so many difficult roads you take, you're going to be rewarded sooner, if not later. Or so I would like to borrow the statement of Admiral McRaven, the guy behind the fall of bin Laden, who said, hope is even more contagious than COVID. To endure adversities, the problem with adversities is that it doesn't come once. In fact, it comes in bunches. So without hope, you will always end up with adversities alone and eliminating resiliency and reward. But with hope, you can weather all these adversities and hope for the better outcome or reward. We believe that hope is not a natural occurring phenomenon. One has to will or exert effort to instill hope in one's mindset. If food is for the stomach, hope is food for the soul. And I caution this, a pinch of hope won't do the trick. It must be an overflowing hope to counter the bunch of adversities that will come along the way to recover. And I perceive God is the only source of overflowing hope through constant prayers. Not only once in a day, but many times that you can instill in one's mindset overflowing hope. So how this mindset influence our organizations? Well, this mentality is always communicated with the people on a regular or a daily basis. Every morning, we have a early morning meeting with all the staff, discussing about our recoveries and making sure that everybody understood very well what we wish to achieve. But there will be laggards in the organization. I just don't pay attention to them for the moment. I go first with the early birds who are willing to adjust immediately and adopt the changes that we need to make. And hope, hope, hope battle cry is being campaigned on a regular basis. So recognition are given to those who are able to adopt. But there is one thing that I missed before COVID, that if I had this, maybe we will be able to recover better. The business continuity program. That embodies the adversity, resiliency, reward, interconnectivity that we have in our mindset. Being very small organization does not exempt me from pursuing business continuity program. So we are doing things like having continuous SWOT analysis, so we can come out with our own business continuity program. So far, that's all I can say in our own experience. And maybe if you do not have questions, it's okay. But in reverse, maybe you have some points to contribute to my in our organization, and we will welcome that. Thank you.
Okay, Sir Alex Riza.
Thank you very much, Sir Alex Visa, for sharing your experiences with us.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir Kerr, yes.
Yes. So, Sir Jello, why don't we give ourselves a big hand of for having this day? Don't you think?
Yes, I think we all deserve a big hand, a big hug for actually hurdling storms for the past few days, being healthy and alive, even if it's the pandemic. And I would like to say thank you also to everyone who's saying thank you on the chat box. Thank you very much for all your praises. We
Yes.
couldn't have done this without all of you. Once again, Sir Kirk, can you thank and acknowledge all the organizations that are with us today?
Of course. Okay. And would like to acknowledge the presence of Museum of the Philippines, University Manila, and Vite, from also from Gordon College, St. Jude College, Department of Education, Leo de San Juan de Letran, Eastern University, Philippine Women University, Bank of the Philippine Island, Pardix Metro, World Council for Curriculum and Instruction Student Teachers Network, Polytechnic University of the Philippines, Andhra IT Products Incorporated, CTE Group of Institutes, and Trinity University of Asia. We would like to express our sincerest gratitude to all of you again. Thank you for sharing your time with us this morning.
Thank you. And now with that, Sir Kerr, I think we should now proceed to the awarding of our certificates.
Right. Can you look what's inside the certificates, Jello?
Okay, we would like to thank every one of our speakers for imparting their insights as resource speaker on the sustainability webinar entitled Integration, Resiliency and Responsibility for Sustainable Social Contracts, held on this 14th day of November 2020 through Zoom platforms, signed by ASAC Prof. Fernando Trinidad III, DBA. Now, our first certificate would be given to Dr. Amelia Naim in Rajaya. Thank you, ma'am, for coming. Then we have Dr. Shirley Mo Ching Yong. Again, madam, thank you for coming. To Dr. Eunice Marith Q. Ariola, PhD. Madam, thank you so much for imparting valuable lessons to us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And to our sharer, Mr. Calixto Alex Suiza, thank you, sir, for spending time with us again with this webinar.
Welcome.
We would like to thank all of you for being here with us today. And can we please ask all the participants to please open your video cameras for a minute or a few seconds so that we can have a picture taken together with our organizers and our speakers for today. And don't forget, if you are going to be posting these pictures on your social media platforms, please use the hashtag GradSem2020.
And please don't forget to fill up the evaluation form below. You can view the link in the chat box. Upon submission of the evaluation form, you will automatically receive the e-certificates in your email address after a few minutes.
All right. Are we done with the photo op, Ma'am Regina? Okay. Thank you. So before we all go, can we ask all of you to please sing with us with pride as we end the program with our Letran hymn.
Dinala si Quezon sa Maynila at sa gayoy mga mag-aral siya sa Kolehiyo de San Juan de Letran.
Ang 75 season ng NCAA.
Where is the team of Colegio de San Juan de Letran?
Students of Colegio de San Juan de Letran bagged top honors.
Kampiyon ng Letran
sa endgame kaya panalo ang Letran.
Esperanza serás Rosicler, pues lograste según tu modelo tantos hombres ilustres formar que semejan estrellas del cielo en la noche serena al brillar. El Letran experiente, come el sol es tu gloria sin fin, y perfuman los labios con miel, come salas su aroma y las mil, orgullosos de ti mi historia, nuestras almas te llorarán, aunque sea por tu nombre os glorias, y honras olvidarte
All right, once again, can I request everyone to please open your video cameras again for photo ops? We want you to show your biggest smile because you have learned something new today. And this is a great experience for us also. Please bring out your biggest smile. And I'll be counting down, okay? 1, 2, 3, smile. And all right. Once again, everyone, thank you for coming once again. I really, really appreciate it. And don't forget to wear masks, social distancing, and please, God bless and Arriba Letran.
Arriba Letran. Thank you, everyone.